Hi everyone and welcome to my channel and to this time-lapse version of an Ethiopian wolf in soft pastel. This is something really different for me. Although I love to paint wildlife sometimes, I certainly haven't painted one of these guys before. If you do enjoy this, then please do subscribe to me here on YouTube. Also check out all of my other playlists where you'll find some videos also in real time and lots of guidance on soft pastel. But if you'd like to see the full-length tutorial versions of this, then check me out on my Patreon channel, as I will release this as a full-length series there. But I hope that you enjoy this speedy version. So it was my first time painting one of these beautiful animals. Known as an Ethiopian wolf, they also are referred to as a simian jackal or a simian fox. And you can see from their look that they're really similar to the European red fox that I'm more familiar with. But they are more closely related to the grey wolf. And they've got a really interesting background. I've really enjoyed learning more about this species while I've been painting this, because it's quite a new animal to me. I haven't really encountered them before. And it's not a bit of wonder because there are just around 400 individuals left. And they only exist in Ethiopia. So I took this project on as part of a bigger project being run by Africa Wildlife Art. They contacted me to get involved and to create some paintings of wildlife that they are trying to fundraise for. So I will add links in the description below. Myself and a lot of other wildlife artists have got involved, so there's going to be some fantastic artwork available. And the whole idea is that from the sale of these paintings, that money will go towards helping the conservation of these animals. So please do check out the links, as later this year, this painting, as well as many other paintings from other really established wildlife artists, are going to be for sale on the Africa Wildlife Art website. So I was really thrilled to get involved with this, and I really hope that my painting sells and that we can raise some much needed funding to help conserve these animals. Now, of course, normally I like to work from my own photo reference where possible, but of course I don't have photos of these guys, so I will link to the wonderful photographer who donated some of their work to this project, which has enabled many of us artists to get involved and paint animals that we have never actually seen in person before. So I chose this image based on, well, the intense stare of the animal, but also that beautiful soft focus that we get. And that's something that I love to paint. I love to create out of focus backgrounds, and we've even got a really out of focus foreground in this one, leaving really just the face of the wolf in focus and some of the foreground elements. So in my tutorial series, I will show you how I create the really soft out of focus background, as well as making it seem like the animal itself is coming slowly into focus. I love this effect in photography, and I really love to recreate that effect in my paintings. So once I get to the front of the animal, that's where the real detail comes in. As always, I'm using my favourite pastel sticks, Unison colour. And I'm also using a little bit of pastel pencil as well. This time I'm working on pastel matte paper, and it's quite a large painting at 24 inches tall. So a lot of the painting was reasonably quick to build up. I find it much faster to paint things when they're out of focus. You can be a bit looser, a bit more painterly. And I really tried to save up all of the crisp, sharp detail for his face. So while I painted this, I tried to learn a little bit more about these animals. They're often mistaken for foxes, and you can see why. I've heard a few people describe them as foxes on stilts, as they really do have long legs. But the colouring and even the facial expression is very, very similar to a fox. But there's such a small number of them left. Many of the reasons that they're struggling are directly or indirectly due to human influence. Both because of their habitat being lost to agriculture, and also certain diseases such as rabies, which are usually transmitted through the domestic dog. But much of their population has been lost in recent years, and there are teams working to preserve the small numbers that are left and help to raise awareness about this animal. So the main area that I spent my time on was the face. Lots of fine detail there. And once I get beyond that, it's back to being quite loose and painterly on the legs. And that's one of the reasons why I really love soft pastel. You can be loose and painterly, or you can create really fine detail as well. So as I move down to the foreground, again, some parts of this are soft and out of focus. And it's really just the little strip of foreground where the wolf's paw is that's going to be in focus. So lots of blending, lots of rubbing the layers into the paper, softening everything down. So like I said, if you're interested in learning more about this style of painting in soft pastel, I will be making this into a full-length tutorial series for my patrons. And it's really the support of my patrons on my Patreon channel that allow me to take part in more projects like this these days. Sometimes as artists we get asked to donate a lot of our work, and certainly in previous years it wasn't always possible for me to do that, as quite often it's difficult enough to try and make a living from being an artist. But through the support of my patrons, I can spend more time making video tutorials, and it also frees me up to take on certain projects that I may not have had time for in the past. And in return, I turn footage like this into real-time tutorials. I narrate those tutorials. I add the colour codes to the tutorials so that they can see exactly what colours I'm using and when. And I'm really looking forward to making this one into a tutorial, as there are lots of my favourite things in this one painting. In particular, creating this blurred look, which now you can see the foreground that I was talking about. I love that depth of field that you get in certain photography, where not only the background is out of focus, but even parts of the foreground. So just creating this one little strip across the middle here, where there's a bit more detail and we can see individual little leaves. This piece took me roughly 15 hours in total. That's not too bad. And that's one of the reasons I love soft pastel, because I don't have to wait for layers of paint to dry. I can literally keep working at it and come back to it whenever I feel. So just that lovely in focus plant to the left to add, and I was really looking forward to adding this plant, as it brings some real touches of vibrance into the piece with that lovely bright yellow. The lighting overall is pretty muted, so I really loved these vibrant touches of yellow. As they really seem to sing out against all of the other muted greens and browns surrounding them. So I hope that you've enjoyed seeing this come together. Do check out my Patreon channel for the full length versions of this. And also, if you're interested in purchasing this piece, then do check out Africa Wildlife Art. I'll add links in the description below. But thanks very much for watching this, and until next time, happy pasteling.